Secondhand everything here, coming at you live in post-production. This is my first video. I'm often out of frame and the focus is all over the place. The spirit of this channel is to exemplify the secondhand life. I'm not an expert, but that doesn't scare me. In this video, we replace an SX-70 Sonar's autofocus motor. This is an SX-70 Sonar edition, and I want to show you an example of what not to do and why not to do it. The subject of the episode is this motor. This is a Sonar motor, so it's fixed in here. I'll pop that open and show you guys in just a moment. But this camera is having issue with focusing. Sometimes it'll focus at the right distance, sometimes it won't. I've learned a lot more now. I'm not a professional at this by any means, but I've learned a lot more now that this is probably due to a stepper back here, which is a pretty difficult job, but we might attempt that at a later time. We're just gonna pop this open now so I can show you where it goes. For these, I like to start here. Whew. God, I don't love the way that feels. All right, let's see. Around here, there's hinges on the top. I kind of want to go around this way. Yep, just lay up. Let's see. Probably should have put it in manual focus first. But in any event, so that's the unit off. What I wanted to do is I wanted to take this apart and clean the inside of the motor. So I thought, maybe it's just dirty in there. Well, don't do it. You're not supposed to open these motors. Of course, I didn't know that at the time. You can see there's some drill marks. We'll get into that in a minute. But to open it, and again, don't do this, but to open it, you release these little tabs here, and you pull it out. Now, when you pull it out like this, what it does, these little brushes, these little whiskers here, they get bent because on this side of the motor, there's these little kind of plastic bushings or bearings, you might call them, and that lifts up and that ruins these little whiskers. These little whiskers are what delivers the power to the rest of the motor. But you might be able to see it, you might not, I'm not sure. But that center piece there, it's got little slits in it, so there's 3 pieces. So one whisker, I imagine this is how it works. I'm not 100% sure. But one whisker touches one piece and kind of sends a little bit of electricity to that section, goes off to one of these tri things, and the other whisker touches the other piece, sends a negative side. So as it spins, as this magnet spins, this one might activate, turn into a magnet against the magnet here, and it will pull or push, and as it spins, the next magnet will be activated as it passes to the next slit. I don't know if I'm explaining that the best way. I don't even know if I'm 100% right, but that's how I figure it works. But anyways, you don't want to remove this because you will bend these whiskers. Essentially, you need a press to put this, to reassemble this. But in any event, I took this apart. It wasn't even that dirty. Definitely wasn't the issue. I don't suggest doing this. And then to make matters slightly worse, I drilled these holes, with it off. I drilled these holes in here so that after I put it back together, I could just barely kind of pick them into place with my metal pick. That worked for about 30 seconds of testing. So that's not a good approach. But Luckily, I found a replacement online. So I was able to find an eBay seller who didn't have this listed but had a similar motor listed. And I asked him, I sent him a picture, explained my embarrassing situation. I asked them, hey, is there any chance you have one? And they did. It looks to be pretty much an OEM replacement. I mean, the holes are in the same spot. The gears are just about the same length from each other. You can see that part number on it, MXN-5A. The only real difference I can see is that this shaft, the new one, has very little play in it, and the old one has a lot of play. That's one thing when this is working. This is before I took it apart. I noticed that there was a lot of play in it like that. I don't think it affects anything, but just a difference. And of course the clear part here. So now we're going to install it. We'll need a soldering iron for this, the tweezers, and patience. I'd say before putting the motor in, and twist these pairs. If you wanted to, you could pre-tin this. In fact, I might. So for SX-70 work, I tend to like my soldering iron on 280 degrees Celsius. I'm not an expert solderer by any means, just a hobbyist. I've got some tiny level of tinning on there. Let's line it up. I think it might be easier to, it's going to be easier to solder this while it's not installed. So I'm going to solder it first. The camera's oriented like this. The negative goes on that lower pin, while the positive goes on the higher pin, I believe. Of course, the picture's on my phone, and the phone is being used to record this. So just gonna get in there, careful not to touch. Looks like a switch on the side. Yeah, I might add a little bit more solder to the pads here, just because this one's a little light. The other one's got plenty. Yep, that's got lots. And with SX-70s, I tend to not like using flux, just because there's a lot of small gears going around. This SX-70 has been outfitted with the SX-70R PCB, so for that job, I definitely used flux, because there's a lot of like little pieces of metal, but I'm careful to clean it all up. Of course, it's hard to do this while holding the motor. Yeah. Let's see how that looks. Not the nicest work in the world. It's on there at least. I wish I didn't have to hold the motor while I was doing it. There we go, that's a bit better. Not quite, there we go. Maybe now I can use some tweezers to get up close. Why did I let go? Yeah, things all separating. Okay, well, that looks like crap, but that's all right, because I may be taking apart this to find the grater issue in the future, so it's okay if these solders aren't the best right now. In any event, this goes in, and similar to reassembly, these little tabs here are not on like a straight axis. So I think it goes in this way, but let me double check. Yeah, looks like it goes in just like that. And you just want to get in there straight and then push it down. I wouldn't push too hard because you're pushing against plastic gears, but yep, it just falls right into place. And tuck the wires away pretty much anywhere that you'd like. So that's to fix the problem. Let's get a pack of film and see if the motor's spinning now. Just empty pack of film. I'm not sure of the battery status on this, but I think it should probably be fine. Let's see. Nothing. Maybe the film's a little low. Let's try out a different one. I've got a couple test packs. I'll get my multimeter too. All right, so we're back with the multimeter. Let's test out this film pack. 6.1. I would expect that to work. Huh. I think I would. Let me see another pack of film. All right, second pack of film. Last one was at 6.1. Is it at 6.17? A little bit concerning. Did I wire it backwards? I had this camera open on my shelf before, so perhaps there's some kind of timeout. I don't know. Yep, that must have been it. So you can see now the camera is working. Now if I put my hand out, should focus on that. And if I aim it far away, well, that's the symptoms I was having before. So I would call at least the motor fixed. But you can see that right now, this is aimed at infinity. If I aim at the wall over there, far away, I'd expect it to go to, maybe about 8 feet. Let's see what it goes to. Yep, between that 3 and 5 feet. If I aim my hand up nice and close, between that 3 and 5 feet. So that was the issue that I was having before. So the motor's fixed. However, from what I can tell, there's the little stepper back here that can cause this issue too. Or not too. This issue is almost never because of the motor. The motors on these almost never ever go bad from what I can tell now. Don't ever take your motor apart, your autofocus motor apart. But from what I know, this stepper motor back here is the issue. Or it's not a motor, rather. The stepper sensor back there is the issue. So I'll put this back on, make sure that this is all fixed up. Fixed, yes. All right, so that looks good. There's these 2 hinges here. You just want to make sure that those go in the right spot. You'll notice that this SX-70 does not have a reskin. I tend to prefer to leave things original unless there's a big reason to change it. And this one, this particular camera, it does have a pretty big reason to change the skin. I haven't decided yet. So do you see it goes on like that? There we go. And then you just kind of press the rest on. You're gonna want to make sure that your autofocus sonar unit actually lines up, which it seems like this one doesn't, because see how I can't get it on just yet. Maybe that's because of this. No. what's causing that. So we're gonna have to pop this off again. Did not love that. You can see the motor even got displaced there. And that's why I'm making this video, because I want to show everyone it's okay to wing it. It is okay to just mess around with things, ideally not on something as expensive as an SX-70 sonar. I started by picking up things from the thrift store and just kind of taking them apart for fun. That is still not on there. Why are you still not on? Maybe I'll mess around with it a little bit off camera. Okay, I figured it out. Don't just put the wires any which way you want. The problem was that the wire was going across the center point here. So this is raised up. You can see on this side that there's a little indent for it to go into. I just pushed this off to the side, and it fought with me to stay onto the side. I just pushed that off to the side, and then everything started to go together nice and neat. Well, once you put this in better position, gosh darn it. There we go. So, once you push that off to the side, this stuff just clicks together nice and neat. See? I figured that out by not forcing anything too much. I didn't just take my hands and go as hard as I could, right? You want to just put it together nice and neat. Nice and neat as you learn about how the system works. See, this side didn't go in all the way. Let's give it a little press. See, maybe there's something that I have to learn about that side. But nice and neat. So, I was talking about that stepper motor back there, which I suspect is going to be the issue. Maybe on our next episode, I'll try that repair. The stepper motor has these little LEDs in there. One's a receiver, one's a sender. And apparently you can replace them. I don't know. So I give it a shot, see where it goes. The Instant Camera Guy has an episode covering a similar topic and going into more depth on how that stepper works. And even demonstrates how he repairs one. So I'm going to try to follow along with him on that one. Thank you.